What if I told you that one of the smartest men in history once failed an important university entrance exam? A boy who spoke very late as a child, disliked traditional schools, and struggled to fit in would grow up to change our understanding of the entire universe. He would become the world's most famous scientist and one of the greatest minds in human history. How did a student who failed an exam become a genius whose name is still a symbol of intelligence? This is the incredible and inspiring story of Albert Einstein, the man who proved that failure is not the end of success. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Universal English. Today, we bring you an inspiring story of curiosity, determination, and never giving up. It is the story of a boy who often felt different from other children. A boy who asked too many questions. A boy who failed an important exam. Yet that same boy would one day become one of the greatest scientists the world has ever known. This is the extraordinary story of Albert Einstein. So sit back, relax, and travel back more than 100 years as we discover how a curious child became a scientific legend. A quiet child. Our story begins on March 14, 1879. In the city of Ulm, a baby boy was born. His name was Albert Einstein. His father, Hermann Einstein, owned a small electrical business. His mother, Pauline Einstein, loved music and encouraged creativity. As a young child, Albert was very quiet. In fact, he began speaking later than many other children. Some people even worried that he might never become successful. But they were completely wrong. Inside his quiet mind was an extraordinary curiosity about the world. The mysterious compass. One day, when Albert was about 5 years old, his father showed him a small compass. The needle always pointed in the same direction. Albert was fascinated. He could not understand how an invisible force could move the needle. This simple object changed his life. For the first time, he realized that there were hidden forces in nature. He wanted to understand them. Years later, Einstein said that the compass filled him with wonder. It was one of the moments that inspired his love for science. A student who asked too many questions. Albert was different from many other children. He did not enjoy memorizing facts. He preferred asking questions. Why does light travel? How does the universe work? Why do things move? Unfortunately, many teachers did not appreciate his curiosity. Schools at that time were very strict. Students were expected to obey rules and memorize information. Albert often became bored. Some teachers even thought he would never achieve much in life. One teacher reportedly told him that he would never succeed. History would prove that teacher completely wrong. A love for mathematics. Although Albert disliked many subjects, he loved mathematics. Numbers fascinated him. By the age of 12, he was already teaching himself advanced mathematics. He spent hours solving problems and reading books about science. His curiosity seemed endless. While other children played games, Albert often thought about difficult questions. What is time? What is space? How does the universe work? These questions would later change the world. Moving to Italy. When Albert was 15 years old, his family moved to Italy. At first, Albert remained in Germany to finish school. But he hated the strict educational system. Eventually, he left school and joined his family in Italy. For many young people, leaving school would have meant the end of their education. But Albert had different plans. He wanted to attend one of Europe's best universities. The big examination. Albert decided to apply to the prestigious ETH Zurich in Switzerland. To enter the school, he had to pass a difficult examination. Albert felt confident. He was excellent at mathematics and physics. But there was a problem. He had paid little attention to subjects such as history, literature, and languages. When the results arrived, Albert had failed the exam. The future genius had failed. Many people would have given up. Many would have accepted defeat. But Albert Einstein was not like most people. Failure is not the end. Although he failed the entrance examination, the university recognized his extraordinary talent in mathematics and science. The school advised him to finish his education and try again later. Albert accepted the challenge. Instead of feeling sorry for himself, he continued studying. He worked hard and improved in the subjects where he was weak. This period taught him an important lesson. Failure is not permanent. Failure can become the beginning of success. A second chance. 1 year later, Albert took the examination again. This time he passed. He was finally admitted to ETH Zurich. The young man who had failed an important exam had earned a second chance. He was excited to begin a new chapter in his life. But even at university, Albert remained different from other students. He still preferred independent thinking. He still asked difficult questions. And he still dreamed of understanding the secrets of the universe. The boy who once failed an exam was about to begin an extraordinary journey. Albert Einstein had overcome his first major failure. The quiet boy who loved mathematics had entered one of Europe's best universities. But his greatest discoveries and his greatest challenges were still ahead. Life at university. When Albert Einstein arrived at the ETH Zurich, he was excited. At last, he could study the subjects he loved most, mathematics and physics. However, university life was not always easy for him. Albert was intelligent, but he did not enjoy following rules. Sometimes he skipped classes and preferred studying alone. He spent hours reading scientific books and thinking deeply about difficult problems. Some professors admired his intelligence. Others thought he was too independent and stubborn. Albert did not care. He wanted to understand how nature worked. He believed that asking questions was more important than memorizing facts. A special friendship. At university, Albert met many new people. One of them was a young student named Maliva Merrick. She was intelligent and loved science. The two spent many hours discussing mathematics and physics. They became close friends and later fell in love. Albert enjoyed talking to people who shared his passion for learning. For him, ideas and curiosity were more important than money or fame. A difficult beginning. After graduating in 1900, Albert expected to find a good job as a teacher. But things did not go as planned. Many professors refused to recommend him. For nearly 2 years, he struggled to find work. He became frustrated. At times, he worried about his future. The young man who would one day become the world's most famous scientist could not even find a stable job. Once again, life seemed unfair. But Albert did not stop believing in himself. The Patent Office. Finally, in 1902, Einstein found a job at the Swiss Patent Office. His work involved examining inventions and new ideas. The job paid enough money for him to live comfortably. Many people thought his scientific career was over. After all, he was not working at a university. He was simply an office employee. But the Patent Office became one of the most important places in scientific history. During quiet moments at work, Albert continued thinking about science. He filled notebooks with ideas and calculations. He asked himself difficult questions. What is light? What is time? What is space? These questions would soon change the world forever. The miracle year. The year 1905 became known as Einstein's miracle year. He was only 26 years old. In a single year, he published 4 scientific papers. Each paper contained revolutionary ideas. Scientists were astonished. One paper explained the behavior of tiny particles. Another helped explain the nature of light. A third paper introduced a completely new understanding of time and space. And a fourth paper contained one of the most famous equations in history. E equals mc squared. This equation showed that matter and energy are connected. It would later become one of the most important discoveries in modern science. The theory of relativity. Einstein's most famous idea became known as the theory of relativity. The theory changed the way people understood the universe. For centuries, scientists had believed that time and space were fixed. Einstein showed that they are not. According to his theory, time can move differently depending on speed and gravity. The idea seemed unbelievable. Many people could not understand it. But scientists gradually realized that Einstein had discovered something extraordinary. The young man who once failed an entrance examination had changed physics forever, becoming famous. At first, only a few scientists understood Einstein's ideas. But slowly, his reputation grew. Scientists around the world began discussing his work. Universities invited him to teach. His theories attracted enormous attention. Then, in 1919, something remarkable happened. An experiment during a solar eclipse confirmed one of Einstein's predictions. Newspapers everywhere reported the news. Suddenly, Albert Einstein became an international celebrity. Headlines called him a genius. The quiet boy from Germany had become one of the most famous people in the world. The world's most famous scientist. People were fascinated by Einstein. His wild hair and friendly smile made him easy to recognize. Journalists wanted interviews. Photographers followed him everywhere. But despite his fame, Einstein remained humble. He never considered himself special. He simply loved asking questions. He once said that he had no special talents. He was only passionately curious. This curiosity had taken him from failure to greatness, winning the Nobel Prize. In 1921, Einstein received one of the world's highest honors. He won the Nobel Prize in Physics. Interestingly, he did not receive the prize for the theory of relativity. Instead, he won it for his work on light and the photoelectric effect. The award made him even more famous. Now the entire world recognized his genius. The student who had once failed a university entrance exam had become a Nobel Prize winner. More than a scientist, Einstein was not interested only in science. He also cared deeply about humanity. He spoke about peace, education, and human rights. He believed that knowledge should help make the world better. He encouraged young people to think independently and remain curious. For Einstein, science was not just about equations. It was about understanding the beauty and mystery of the universe. A new challenge. Although Einstein had achieved incredible success, difficult times were approaching. Political changes in Europe would soon force him to leave his homeland. The scientist who had changed the world would face new challenges and difficult decisions. But nothing could change what he had already accomplished. The boy who failed an exam had become one of history's greatest minds. And his most inspiring lessons were still to come. Albert Einstein had gone from an unemployed graduate and patent clerk to the most famous scientist in the world. His ideas changed our understanding of time, space, and the universe itself. But his journey was not over. His final years and his lasting legacy would inspire generations to come. Leaving Germany. During the 1930s, Europe was changing rapidly. A political leader named Adolf Hitler came to power in Germany. Many people became afraid of the new government. Einstein, who was Jewish, realized that it was becoming dangerous for him to remain in his homeland. At that time, he was traveling outside Germany. After learning about the situation, he made a difficult decision. He would never return to Germany. Instead, he moved to the United States. It was a sad moment in his life. He loved science and learning, but he had lost the country where he had been born. A new home in America. Einstein accepted a position at the Institute for Advanced Study. the institute became his new home. There, he continued his scientific research. Students and scientists from around the world came to meet him. By now, he had become the most famous scientist on Earth. People recognized him everywhere. Yet Einstein lived a simple life. He did not care much about money or expensive things. He preferred books, music, and long walks. He remained curious about the mysteries of the universe. The shadow of war. As the world moved toward another global conflict, Einstein became increasingly worried. The World War II was approaching. Scientists had begun to understand that enormous amounts of energy could be released from atoms. Einstein feared that Nazi Germany might develop powerful weapons first. Because of this concern, he signed a famous letter to the American government, warning about the possibility of atomic weapons. This letter later influenced important scientific projects in the United States. Although Einstein's equation, E=mc², helped explain nuclear energy, he did not build atomic bombs. In fact, he later spoke strongly in favor of peace and international cooperation. A man who loved peace. The destruction caused by World War II deeply affected Einstein. He believed that science should improve human life, not destroy it. After the war, he became a strong supporter of peace. He encouraged nations to work together and avoid future conflicts. He often spoke about responsibility and humanity. Einstein understood that great knowledge also brings great responsibility. For him, being a scientist meant thinking about the future of the entire world. More than a genius. People often called Einstein a genius. But he did not think of himself that way. He believed that success came from curiosity, hard work, and imagination. One of his famous ideas was, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." He encouraged people to ask questions. He believed that curiosity was one of the most powerful forces in human life. Even as an old man, he never stopped learning. He continued reading, thinking, and discussing new ideas. The scientist with a violin. Many people do not know that Einstein loved music. He especially enjoyed playing the violin. Music brought him happiness and helped him relax. Sometimes, when he faced difficult scientific problems, he would play music and think quietly. He once said that if he had not become a scientist, he might have become a musician. This shows another side of Einstein. He was not only a great scientist. He was also an artist, a dreamer, and a man who appreciated beauty. The final years. As Einstein grew older, his health slowly became weaker. But his mind remained active. He continued working on scientific questions. He still hoped to discover a single theory that could explain all the forces of nature. Although he never completed this dream, he never stopped trying. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein passed away at the age of 76 in the city of Princeton. The world mourned the loss of one of its greatest thinkers. Scientists, students, and ordinary people everywhere remembered the man who had changed our understanding of the universe. A legacy that lives forever. More than 70 years have passed since Einstein's death. Yet his ideas continue to influence modern science. His theories are used in astronomy, technology, and space exploration. Scientists still study his work. His name has become a symbol of intelligence. When people think of genius, they often think of Albert Einstein. Books, schools, and scientific institutions around the world honor his memory. His face and wild hair are recognized almost everywhere. Very few scientists have become such global symbols. Lessons from Einstein's life. What can we learn from Albert Einstein? First, failure is not the end. Einstein failed an important university entrance examination, but he tried again and succeeded. Second, never stop asking questions. Curiosity can lead to extraordinary discoveries. Third, think differently. Einstein's greatest ideas came because he looked at the world in a new way. Fourth, imagination matters. Dreams and creativity are powerful tools. Finally, never let other people's opinions define your future. Some teachers believed Einstein would never achieve much. History proved them completely wrong. From failure to greatness. Imagine the young Albert Einstein after failing his examination. Perhaps he felt disappointed. Perhaps he wondered about his future. He could not have known that one day his name would be known around the world. His story teaches us something important. Success is not about never failing. Success is about refusing to give up. Every great person faces difficulties. Every successful person experiences setbacks. The difference is that they continue moving forward. Einstein did exactly that. The story of Albert Einstein is the story of curiosity, perseverance, and believing in yourself. A quiet boy who spoke late and failed an important exam grew up to become one of the greatest scientists in history. He changed the way we understand time, space, and the universe itself. But perhaps his greatest lesson is even simpler. Never be afraid to ask questions. Never be afraid to think differently. And never believe that one failure can decide your future. Because a failed examination did not stop Albert Einstein. Instead, it became just one small chapter in an extraordinary life. One curious mind changed the world. And perhaps your curiosity can change your world too. Thank you for watching this inspiring biography on Universal English. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and never stop being curious. See you in the next inspiring biography on Universal English.